Hey, you're asking some pretty cool questions, so I thought I would make a video to help you maybe understand it. So, the way I like to think of probability is kind of an overlapping Venn diagram. Now, of course, this is independent events because if they were mutually exclusive, you would have no overlap, right? So let's just call this probability A, let's call this probability B. And let's say that the probability that A occurs is 0.4 and the probability that B occurs is 0.6. Now, the formula that we know for A or B looks like this. It would be the probability that A occurs, which is 0.4, and it would be plus the probability that B occurs, 0.6, and we would be subtracting out the probability that they both occur times 0.6. And so the math would be, well, 0.4 plus 0.6 is 1.0 minus, what is that, 0.24 right there, put a decimal, and that's going to equal 0.76. Now, what I explained to you is that this equation actually takes into account three possibilities, and the three possibilities are only A, only B, and both. And you asked a very interesting question. You said, well, wait a minute, we're already subtracting out both here, right? So why does it include this both calculation? Very good question. And the reason is, if you look at this middle part, this is the both, right? This middle part actually occurs twice. It occurs once from A and once from B. So when we're subtracting out the middle part, we're not actually subtracting it out twice. We're only subtracting it out once, not twice. And the reason we subtract out this middle part is not to remove the both possibility, but to remove the overlap, the double counting. Remove one of the overlaps to avoid the double counting. And now you can see we have the three possibilities. So the possibility of only A would be right here. The possibility of only B would be right here. And the possibility of both would be in the middle here, and not twice, because remember, we took one of them away, right? Now, we can actually confirm this, prove that this exists, right? So again, let's do our math. Okay. So I told you that this equation has three cases: only A, only B, and and both, right? Right there. Okay. So here's how I can prove it to you. If I'm going to calculate the probability that only A occurs, well, that would be 0.4, A occurs, and then B does not occur, which would also be 0.4, right? 1 minus 0.6. And that's going to equal 0.16 right there, only A. I'm now going to calculate the probability that only B occurs. Now, your initial understanding of the A or B equation is that it's only A or only B, right? So whatever this number is, it should equal 0.76 when added to 0.16. But if it doesn't, that means it must be considering this third possibility, the both possibility. Okay, so only B, well, B happens as 0.6, and then A doesn't happen, A does not happen, that's going to be 0.6 as well. And that's going to equal 0.36. Now, when I add these two together, I get 0.52. Notice I don't get 0.76 because 0.76 is taking into account this third possibility right there. And then finally, let's calculate the probability that both occur. Well, that would just be 0.4 times 0.6, and that's equals 0.24. And then add 0.24 to this right here. And what do you get? 0.76. So just like I showed you right here, this calculation is the true number of only A or only B and not both right there. Now we can of course do a shortcut, which is what you talked about in your Reddit post. What we can do is we can do 0.4 plus 0.6 minus 2. Take out both of these middle parts, not just one of them. Take out both of these middle parts. Okay, 0.4 times 0.6, and what do we get? We get 0.4 plus 0.6 minus 2 times 0.24. That's going to equal 1.0 minus 0.48, which equals 0.52 right there. So I hope this was helpful in illustrating this concept. It's very interesting just in a nutshell, the A or B formula includes 3 possibilities, not 2. And if you really only want the only A or the only B possibility, then you can either subtract out that overlap part twice, or you can calculate it kind of separately like I did here with the only A scenario and the only B scenario right there.